I joined Kunanuru Gizani, and there I was in worship team. We were traveling, doing crusades. I loved it. There is where I met Esther Wahome. So hapo Esther Wahome alikuwa Sarah K, Ruth Wamoyo. If you watch Bishop Muiru's song ile Lango Lango, you see Kina Esther there. You know, so that's where I saw them and I was like, wow. I was worried about the language barrier at the beginning, but you see what God taught me that I've learned with time, that music is not actually language, it's a sound.
Pearl Radio, the home of fresh and classic hits.
You tuned into the PearlTop20 Countdown with the gas master
and the groove queen, or I think the fun girl at the moment. I'm really trying not to fun girl too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in this hour, we are not alone. Actually, you're not just the two of us. But let me tell you, a buddy just walked in looking all good, you know?
Stunning in capital letters.
There's a line that you used to say some time back, like last year. She ate and
left no crumbs.
That's what's up.
Oh, yeah.
Ate and left no crumbs.
Yeah, we have an addition to the show who is none other than
Emmy Kosgei.
That's what's up. And this one is for you, Emmy. This one is for you. All the amazing applause. How are you?
I'm good.
Wow. Let's talk about the challenge. We did the challenge this week of Taunate Nelel. What's the meaning?
It's a new beginning.
Oh.
And it's from the book of Isaiah, where God is saying, behold, I'm doing a new thing.
Yeah.
And the song says, can't you see it? Like how sometimes we can be so busy with so many things, or busy struggling, and forgetting that he has already done it for us. So he's saying, behold, can't you see it? I'm doing a new thing. I'm making a way in the desert. I'm straightening every crooked way before you, and I'm making a way where there seems to be no way. So he's trying today to say, I'm doing a new thing. And then another verse says, I will turn your tears into joy. You know, I'll bring you joy. Turn your sorrows into joy. Restore you, and, you know, restore the years that you have lost, and then restore generations back to you. So it's a very hopeful song, energetic song, prophetic song.
Amen.
Everything.
We love it. We love it. Tunaweza kuwa tumesema vitu zetu in those the lyrics. But we try.
Just say by the Spirit.
We try. So maybe let's go back to little Emmy, who grew up in a very Christian home, right? Bishop PK.
PK.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that being raised in a Christian background? How did that shape your faith and your music journey?
Yeah, so I think that's the basis of my faith. I think that really built passion in me for God, for serving God, and just seeing my parents so passionately serve God, and then giving us that platform from, you know, when we were young kids. You know, pastors' kids, you're here, you're carrying chairs, you're reading, you're sweeping.
PA.
You know, you're not quite PA to by force. And then I just found myself, you know, loving music. I used to head dance crews or a church. I was just in choir. Yeah, a little bit. Sai usi kwa sababu sai tuko ile ya mifupa mikavu. But we are good. So hatujafika hapo. But anyway, so those years I started there, but I never envisioned myself doing my own recordings. I think I never had like watched an artist and I thought I want to be like this person. I have never I never had that. So I thought, for me, music was just for fun. I loved doing it. I loved composing songs. I used to compose choruses instantly kwa church. And this was born many years later when I came to Nairobi to do my further studies, and then I met Esther Wahome, and then who became my mentor. I did backup for her, and then she now pushed me to who I am today.
Wow. Actually, you've mentioned something, so actually I'll be so interested in knowing, when you came to Nairobi, you came to Tali, right? Did you came to do catering, and right now, did you like really focus with the career of catering and everything?
You know, that's why now I like how, you know, what young people are doing and what maybe the Ministry of Education, maybe those international studies, or the generation we are in now, people are choosing what they want. You start from Uku, you already know what you want. But where we were coming from, you get to know what you want much later. Like, you just look at some fancy courses you feel you want to do. I loved hospitality so much. So because in my mind, I never thought music was something I would do. It never crossed my mind. So I was just running my normal life. So I went to Utali. I had already envisioned myself in Utali. Those days Utali ilikuwa by selection. You go and then you do some exams, you get it again. So you're selected, the chosen few. Maybe in a class you could be maybe 20 something out of, from the whole country.
Oh.
Yes, it was very strict. Admission was not free, open. You have to do interviews.
So unasema ulikuwa the chosen few?
Yeah.
What was the vision? Was it like owning a hotel, like being like head chef?
Yeah, like having the biggest hotel.
I wanted to be an air hostess.
For real?
I'm telling you.
So, okay.
Every time I'm in the flights, I just tell those guys, KQ, can you imagine? This is what I wanted to be.
Wow.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I just loved how they were just moving, traveling, looking good, serving.
But you're
how are you? Are you
now.
okay? I didn't know that I would be serving God.
Yeah.
I would be doing service in the kingdom.
Yeah.
So I did Utali. I cleared, and then I think I worked. The first year I worked. I never did hospitality. And then the first year, second year, I started singing. So I joined Maximum Miracle Center.
Oh, kuna nuru gizani.
Yeah, so I used to love crusades. So where I was coming from, I was a crusades girl.
Hey.
I loved traveling to preach, evangelize, all that. So when I came to Nairobi, I was like, I don't want to just go to these posh churches. You go and sit down and just, I want action, And I saw kuna nuru gizani, and I used to watch, 3 o'clock, they were going to crusades all over Kenya. I said, I like this church. So I came to the CBD, nikaenda up Odeon, and I was like, I want to join this church. So I asked my dad, he released me. I joined Kunanuru Gizani, and there I was in worship team. We were traveling, doing crusades. I loved it. And then there is where I met Esther Wahome. So hapo Esther Wahome alikuwa Sarah K, Ruth Wamoyo.
I'm tempted to say it was City
Honestly, because right now that's the church that has like half of the gospel ministers. Honestly,
I'm telling you, if you watch Bishop Muiru's song Ile Lango Lango, you see Kina Esther there. So that's where I saw them, and I was like, wow. So
nataka kuwa associated na wao.
No.
Nenda ile church ya CBD. Pale Odeon.
That was a cool church.
I know, they gave us the platform. And those days kulikuwa Maximum Melodies. You remember those days? And then Ati, you remember, you were not there.
So we know them. Yeah.
Andrew now is a pastor. So I used to be there, and then that's where I met Esther. I started backing up. Ukiniona kwa video ya kuna dawa, you won't believe I'm the one.
Now I want to go and rewatch the
video. I know, you will see me there, but I don't know.
Your hair.
I was 1 GB then, and I had lots of hair. So I backed her up. Yeah. I know one time she was like, I did modeling.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I know.
Makes sense.
Because I was like, hair stairs, I see how.
Yeah.
Okay. So were you Miss Kenya, Miss Tourism, Miss Utali?
Actually, when I was in Utali, I used to see. Nilikuwa naitwa pastor, by the way. I was so sold out to Christ. Till now, I used to play piano and all that. So.
Chiki,
I know, right? 10 out of 10 minutes, nothing. But there's something I want to maybe take you back to. Kidogo too. There's a year you said that you didn't really practice hospitality and you still had not started singing.
I didn't.
What was your first job?
Finish. So I worked for Paul Tergat's. He advertised for a job. He was my first employer. Paul Tergat, them Kimbiaji. So he had this chain of petrol station in Naitwa Engine.
I remember Engine. Yeah.
So Engine has a eatery. A South African eatery. It was a chain in South Africa. So they had a shop, they had a petrol station, and they had a Barcelos or something like that. So the first advertisement, I went for the interview. So I was their cashier.
That was your first job? But that's cool.
So I was handling cash.
Yeah.
And then when you work in that chain, they train you all round. So I was handling cash. Sometimes I go to the Barcelos. You must have knowledge of everything. So I was in all that. They had the shop and all that under one roof. So we handled cash and everything. I worked there for 1 year. The second year, now tulikuwa kuna nuru, nikimaliza tu job niko Uhuru Park Crusades, niko kwa stage. Nikimaliza tunaenda Mombasa, I travel, I come back Monday morning, niko job. So I worked like that. And one day my boss, one of my bosses, not Paul but another, akanita office like, we tunakuona everywhere. Traveling.
Yeah.
Can you choose between this job and this thing you're doing?
Oh, no.
I said, but it's not interfering with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
He was like, no, that you have to choose one thing. So I said, okay. I said, no, am I like weighing my God? No, he can supply my needs, right?
Yeah.
So I just said, I had a lot of passions for crusade. I just went back. I said, you know what? I just wrote my resignation letter and I left.
Okay.
I left, but I knew that was God. Later I looked at it, and then I got another job with Catholic monastery. So monastic father, there's only one monastery in Kenya. In, I think, Africa, that was the biggest, ilikuwa Kipkelion. So they advertised for a job. So I went. They used to have spring water. So they were looking for marketers, all that. So myself and another guy who was coming from Coca-Cola, we went for the interview and I got a job.
Wow.
So that guy was the country, this thing, I was his assistant. And we worked and they allowed me to go to ministry. So nikimaliza marketing, I drive to crusades.
Check it. You know the song Favor surrounds like a that's Emmy Kosgei. I want to know your first experience going to the airport. How was it?
Wow, my first experience. Okay, first experience was seeing off my dad. So my dad traveled a lot. My dad, for those who know the story of my dad, he started school at 21.
Wow.
Yeah, so when we were in school, he was also doing his higher education.
Yeah.
And then after that, he started doing ministry. He traveled a lot to Europe, wherever. So those were my first days, like Wiscott, Makurisiva, Kirudi. Then years later was now, because I was working with Esther. Every time she's going for Cora Awards, she's going to Norway or wherever, we see her off. I remember the last time when she was invited for Cora. So I used to back her up with Jimmy Gates.
Hey, remember that guy?
That time Jimmy Gates had done this one. Wakati wakubariki umefika. So
okay.
He had just done that song, and then we were to go to Cora Awards with Esther. So every artist anakuja na backup. Tukafika airport. Wakasema your flight imejaa, South African Airlines. So they wakatoa all backups. So imagine tulikuwa JKIA na suitcases tumambia watu kwa heri.
You know what that's giving? It's giving in high school kwa basi natolewa. Kwa funky. Kwa list. Watu wamejaa muende nyinyi.
Oh my God, tulibaki na Jimmy, were looking at each other. So what Esther did, she prayed for us. And she said, this is the last time you will be flying and not flying. Like the fact that you have stepped here with your bags to just go and sing. He said, this airport, mutakuwa muna travel mpaka mchoke.
Amen.
I'm telling you, she just encouraged us. And I'm telling you, after that, my first trip going to do ministry was around 2004. I was going to South Africa.
Wow.
Somebody, the ambassador to Kenya, saw me singing in a function, Kaswech. And she was like, what? You mean Kalenjin sounds so sweet like this? Can you come to SA? So that was my first trip. And I'm telling you, it was everything. Mixed feelings. I was excited. I was like, what? I'm just going to do Kalenjin, like how? So I went and I did my first like a month. I came back and then I was invited to the US, and then to the US, and then US. US became like my main, when I started, like my first and second album, before I did Townet. And then that's where I was discovered by Kina DJ Moz, Zaidi ya Muziki, Kina Lena. So I was so big in Maryland, all those places, Dallas, and this Kalenjin. So they were coming to do a concert in Dallas. And they were told, if you want to do a successful event here, look for this girl. So they were like, who is she? They said, Nimwantoka Kenya. They were like, what? So they looked for me, Niko too innocent. You know how God can hide you from you? I've been in that place for quite a while. And then that's how I was invited to that concert. And then Kidna Zaidi ya Muziki came back to Kenya, Kina Moz, and they told guys, you need to see this girl.
You're sleeping on this girl.
Anatoka siju uko happy combined ukale, and then everything together. She's, you know. So when I flew back to Kenya, I was sought after by media, by who is this person, and then that's when I met my manager, Arthur K. Arthur K now picked my music. Stomp, unajua ndio ilikuwa imeingia. And Stomp never used to play at muziki ija organiziwa vizuri kama ijepita standard, and you know they took Kaswech. So that introduced me to the, you know, the national station during the clashes. So Kaswech is a prayer song and all that, and so Arthur called me and said, can you translate this song to English on screen? I did. Then they played on TV continually. That song, you know, healed so many homes, so many hearts, so many people that were going through hard time during that clashes period, especially in Eldoret. And I got calls. That song, we put it to Licheza and all that. Then after Kaswech now is now when Townet was born. So Townet, I released Townet 2009. I recorded it, I released it. But it came to make sense 2010.
Wow.
So a year later.
Yeah.
Is it TikTok? I'm like, because we have seen songs.
So it was promulgation.
Okay.
Yeah, promulgation of the new constitution. That's when people thought it was my first. It was my first song, but it had been there for a year, and that was my third album.
Okay, I wanna know, were you ever worried about the language barrier being a challenge when you were starting to write songs in Kale? And you know, I'm thinking you're thinking big. You want the song to get to everyone. Were you ever worried about you know, the language barrier?
At the beginning, I was, because the time Esther told me, you need to sing Kalenjin. She didn't even tell me any song. She just said, you sing Kalenjin. You sing in your mother tongue, and this look and everything. She just said this combination is heavy. And I was like, who sings Kalenjin songs now that Kenya is so tensed, and of all languages Kalenjin, nobody will listen to me. And she was like, she pushed me. So I was worried about the language barrier at the beginning. But you see what God taught me, that I've learned with time, that music is not actually language, it's a sound. And it's a sound powered by a spirit, either the Spirit of God or the spirit of darkness. So which power is powering your music? It matters, because that is the sound that the heart hears, not the language. So I was like, okay, so I did. And if you look at my audiences, I just got crazy fan base from across the country. So I have Wasapere, I have Wakale, I have Luyas Luz, I have Wakamba, I have, you know, even Muslims. I have people that love my music without understanding. So when I started hearing, I love your songs, though I don't understand what they say, they bless me. To me, that was a sign that I was doing the right thing. And then this makes you to be fully dependent on God. Because now I'm not singing English. Lift your hands, you know, I'm saying something. If come and Swahili. So there's a lot of work on my end, like a lot of depending on God, because my audience depend on the sound, in the sound of the spirit. So if it is not interpreted in that realm, they hata watachoka. Watataka song wanataka kusikia. So it has been a big lesson for me and very humbling line for me, because until now I've not even gotten a release to do another language.
I'm just
doing Kalenjin.
And I love it, and how you've actually embraced your culture as a how does it feel on the global stages when you're saying, yes, I'm this Kale girl from Kenya, and even getting to express that? How is that for you?
It's so humbling. I mean, I've seen things that I believe there's somebody that is inspired by my life, because there's nothing I can really say about what I'm doing. Like, to do Kalenjin music, I've won so numerous awards nationally, in Kenya, in East Africa, in the UK, globally. And then I have represented Kenya in so many platforms that I go to stages and they don't see me as a Kalenjin artist. They see me as a Kenyan artist. And then another one see me like an African artist. They listen to my song like, is this African sound? Do you get? And God has introduced me to places. So it's more than language. And it has been a big inspiration for me that there's nothing God cannot do. We limit ourselves. We limit God. Maybe we look at ourselves and we think we can't. But singing Kalenjin has taught me a lot of things. And till date, as we are sitting here, I have invitations and events until the end of the year.
Wow.
Across the globe. And I can't tell you, it's because I'm excellent. I've listened to people when I hit notes. Waivurute hivi, wateremshe hivi is a good thing. People wanaweza imba English very well, Swahili. Who am I? Just some local language and like that. So there must be a God factor in it. And through the same music, I was appointed cultural and tourism ambassador for Kenya. A few years ago, and nationally and globally. That meant I appear in expos, I do events to represent Kenya. I've done so much events in Canada, Australia, US, UK, where so many nations. I mean, I've done this Kalenjin music, Russia, Ukraine, Nigeria, South Africa. Name them: Tanzania, Uganda, is it Rwanda, is it Zambia, is it Botswana, is it some very funny places like Ukraine, Riga, God has a way of doing things. And when you say God can really raise people from the dust, He's really God. And he makes statements in very impossible places, situations, things that may be vessels, or people that look at themselves and feel like they are not worth it, they are nothing. Maybe you look at yourself, nitafikaje. I think we look at inward so much. We look at ourselves more than we look at God. Because God can take you place. I pinch myself. I went to Lagos and I was like, how will I be able to do what I'm doing? But I can tell you, since I got married, I've done much more. I think nations that have opened for me are so much. Kenya, I've been coming to Kenya. I can come even 10 times in a year. I can come more than that. Continue. I can come in a month, twice, 3 times, to just do, the work that God has given me. So with God, nothing is impossible.
Wow.
Amen. That is a whole testimony. Yes. So inspiring. And thank you so much for sharing that. Now, you mentioned your marriage. And maybe we can talk about that a little bit, because first of all, the wedding just...
One of the most iconic weddings we have had in the 254. Tell me, like...
if you can,
in fact, kuna whole shift mahali tu inangoja.
But maybe you can share how you met with Apostle Anselm Madubuko.
Yes.
How did you guys meet?
So, I was telling somebody yesterday in an interview, the mistake we make is use our own experiences as a model. Use it as a model of how things should be done. Sometimes we fail and we cause many people to stumble, to go through frustrations, depression, stress, because they think this is the way. But not knowing that there are so many ways, and we are all different. We are called differently. Our experiences are quite different. So for me, I'm just, when I give my story, I won't tell anybody this is the template. It can't be. We are all different. Some people get married at 20, 21, 22, 23. Mine was 33.
Wow.
And for all so many reasons. And So I met my husband, just meeting, right? Just seeing. The first day I saw him, he was still married and I was dating. So there was nothing. I was going to sing for the first time in Word Explosion in Mombasa.
Yeah.
And for the first time, Word Explosion had been there for like 10 years. I had never been invited. So for the first time, I was there. They were opening the Glass Cathedral and then they called me for the conference.
Yeah.
So my husband now has been a frequent guest for Word Explosion for almost 10 years, that time. So I see him first. I thought he was a South African. Because when they were introducing him, they say, Anselm Madubuko. I said, who is this guy? And then he preached, for those who've seen my husband, you saw him during Azusa Kenya.
Yeah.
I mean, that's him. He preached, Akimaliza is out. And he comes in just before I'll be there and then he's gone. So he's not one of those guys that will preach and then hang out, be taking numbers and then, he's not like that. Okay. So it was years later after his wife passed on and I had parted ways with the guy I was dating a year. So at that time, I didn't want not just see my damn say okay, break up. I'll take it.
You want time.
You're like I
self-love.
I don't want to be married. I don't want to hear anything at your husband. I wasn't interested. So, and I was facing my ministry at that time. So I said, I just want to serve. I had kids that I was educating. I said maybe God wants me to face this ministry. So I was like I was not interested. So the day he called me, so because he had invited us to his ministry because he said he had never seen music like that. So he said, can I have this team come to Lagos? So we traveled for Azusa Lagos.
Oh.
So we sang. Then we were invited the following year. And then we were invited. So the year that we were invited, like the third time, I think, then his wife passed on like 2 months to the conference. And that time I was in UK for AGMA Awards. So we fear him. Even though we dreaded him, like, how do we even say Paul? Do you get? So we didn't have that audience, of course, protocol and all that. But and to cut the long story short, he called me one day and he was like, how are you? You're kuogopa and pastor I'm like, and he was like, how? Okay, because so the guy I was dating then, Nikki travel, he has to call and I must give my host to just say that to Mefika or something like that.
Yeah.
Those men that are very so but when he called me and then he said he's not looking for a girlfriend. He said, I want to marry you.
Hey.
No,
straight
this
to
is
the
first
point.
Phone call?
Yes.
No.
When a man
people who know what they want and shooting their shots.
I'm not looking for a wife.
No.
Yeah. First,
God.
He wants to find out if I was still dating.
Okay.
I was like, no. I said, I'm not dating. Like, that guy, no, I left him because, I'm just thinking, I'm talking to the man of God. Like, that man, I left him. In his heart, he was like,
yes.
Yes, so this is the first
10
So me, I'm busy expressing how I moved on, like and he was saying, if this guy is stressing you, I'm like, no. So and then, boom, I was like, no. So for like 3 months, I was like, just forget about it because I can't. And then in my mind,
playing hard to get,
when you're a pastor's kid, one of the hardest things, I've seen people that really want to be married to a pastor. I was not one of those. I wasn't.
Like, God, please.
Can I get like a businessman? So that we can support the ministry?
Yes. Yeah. Preferably in the oil industry.
Do you understand?
I hear you.
That was where my mind was.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, can we just support the ministry quietly? Because I had been there. So when he said, the first thing I said, I didn't ask for that. That's not even in, we with our lists. So he said, okay, that he prayed and that's where God is leading him and he has peace about it. So he said, I'll give you time, pray about it. I said, okay. first time I do, I never used to pray about it. So, but I can advise any girl, hey, pray. So I prayed 3 months. I was like, no, because my mind was not agreeing. But anyway, to cut the long story short, one day, I said yes. And then my parents, yes, everything I needed to be able to, it was tick, 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 tick. And that's where I found myself. And then we got married. My husband is so busy. He flew here from Ukraine doing mission to do the wedding. That's how he was like, I am busy with my serving God. The day you be ready, just
okay, you are ready to show.
Sure, for sure. He just flew in.
Wow.
And that's how, to cut the long story short, we got married. We dated like maybe 2, 3, 4 times, like normal, relationship would be just to know him, just to know what it meant. And, moving to another country wasn't small. And because public, I couldn't meet him. The first time he came to see me, I almost dreaded.
Oh my God.
It was bad. So the second one, I told him, we can't even date here. No, why will I sit down with you in a restaurant? Nobody has seen me. Nobody has seen me with a guy.
Yeah.
So we used to fly out
for dates. Girls,
standard.
Hear well. Oh my God, let's go for coffee in Abuja.
In UK. At least
Abuja, the UK.
So because even here, my husband, Nigeria, is a very respected man of God. He's not a small boy.
Yeah.
So in his level, he also have to kuchunga his integrity, and a lot of things come in place. So he had to be very careful with that. Same to me. So we were in the same in terms of public life. So it was quite private. So that one I can hint you. We used to meet outside, meet and then come back like that.
And then now the wedding came and you decided, you know what? Now all of y'all are gonna know.
Yeah.
Now we are doing it.
Now you're gonna know. Wow, that was incredible.
Thank you.
Maybe share, what was the biggest culture shock? Either during the whole wedding thing or just in Nigeria.
Yeah, just getting to Lagos and you're like, wow, voila. I really thought.
So the mindset we have about Nigeria is I was like, they are here, I'm here. How can where will be the meeting point?
Yeah.
But to my surprise, my biggest culture shock was to find that what we think about Nigerians is quite the opposite. That they are kind people, good people. They loved me. They love me till date. They take care of me. They embraced me. I was like, what? And then I realized that loud expression is just a nature thing. It's an environment thing, it's the population is quite big. Nikujoto sana. Maybe sometimes it's like you just express yourself. If I need this cup, just say, hey, give me this cup. So say what you want, like expression, go-getters and all that, good attributes. And then I think the biggest maybe culture shock would be food. Their food is quite different. Pilipili ndio kwanza lazima kuwe mgonjwa kidogo mpaka uzoea. Their food is quite rich, quite intense. Like one soup can have like 9 ingredients or 10, like sauce. Sinajua sisi tumenyanya kitunguu and we are good to go. Sisi tunacheza. But they are good people, passionate, they love God. I mean, a lot of hearts that were inside of me have really found expression because of that platform that I got. And getting a husband like my husband that supports me, pushes me to do better, to become a better version of me, serve God, live purposefully.
Yeah.
And just pushing me every time, I think I've become a better person, and it has really built me. To not only sing, I lead women, I lead a big ministry, I lead people that, that are grounded in the word. So, I mean, it has been a lot of spiritual growth, a lot of maturity, a lot of, the giftings of God finding expressions in my life. So I'm really humbled and so blessed.
Wow. Let's now go back to your music. Now, we have gotten to Lagos.
Yeah.
Were you ever tempted to now switch to Afro?
No.
Hakuna Afrobeat.
Hakuna uko.
So our music department, because I'm a music pastor. I'm the music pastor of Revival Assembly, and we have a very intense. Our church is known for music, amazing. So, so sometimes their favorite song is Ololo. So they used to call me Ololo before I got married.
Okay.
So if they put the feel of West Africa on Ololo, it's just so sweet. But that African rhythms are African rhythms. But I still sing Kalenjin. So I've been able to just maintain Kalenjin, and then I do concerts. I sing in events. I've been blessed to have great friends like Sinach. Sinach is my great friend.
Hallelujah. We are tapping into that. The fact that you're here, we are tapping into it.
Maybe she'll be here next.
Yeah.
I've participated in almost all our events in Lagos. I have friends, like Naonos. My husband has raised great singers in Nigeria that he fathers people like Mercy Chinwo, is people like Judy K, all those guys. So it's a whole kind of different thing, but African rhythms are so rich and powerful. So it's a privilege to bring an East African sound to the table.
Nice.
Wow, so much that you're doing, so much. And right now I just want to know, how do you manage, how do you ground yourself, how do you balance, because you do so many things. I mean, you're still required to make your home, to be in your ministry, to be present in all the events you're being called to. How do you balance? What's the secrets?
The secret is God.
It's God.
Wow.
Yeah, because He's the script writer.
Yeah.
We are all acting a script that has already been written before foundations of the earth.
Yeah.
He already knew that I would be there in Lagos and I'll be doing what I'm doing. The only frustrations that we sometimes get is when we are pushing ourselves, leading ourselves, and wanting to be what we are not supposed to be. But what I've realized is nobody can do what I'm doing if God is not with you.
Oh, that's what's up. Put that on a tin. In fact, on a tote bag, we say that.
Yeah. Nobody can do, because there is no way I can balance being a wife, being a stepmom, being a first lady, being Emmy Kosgei, the singer, being Emmy Kosgei Madubuko, the wife of the apostle, and to be able to fill in the space of being his wife and then supporting him in his ministry, supporting him what he's doing, at the same time serve my country. I'm still doing national events. I'm still representing Kenya all over the world. I am part of so many festivals that happen. So to do all these things, preach, sing, travel, sit down, move, only God can help. So I can say the secret is God.
Wow. Nice. They say time flies when you're having a good time. Actually, I can see it's like 2 minutes off of the hour. But before then, how about we engage you in a quick fire?
Quick fire. Haraka tu.
Haraka. Maswali ni rahisi tu hapo. All right. Are you ready?
Okay, I will try.
Okay, let's get into it. What's one Kenyan dish Nigerians still don't understand?
Ugali.
Oh,
fufu. But it's just very close to fufu, no?
I know, they say it's tasteless.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's see. If you had to choose one outfit for the rest of your life, you're quite the fashionista. What are you wearing?
If I have to choose one?
Yeah. Like one type of outfit.
It has to be flowing.
Flowing?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the most Kenyan thing about you, even in Lagos?
Wow. Kenyan thing about me. Tea.
Oh, okay.
Tea.
Yeah.
Chai asubuhi, ya saa nne, ya lunch, after lunch.
Yes.
Saa kumi,
yes.
After supper.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's the one thing people always assume about you that is wrong?
That I'm not reachable.
Oh.
really?
That means celeb Jew.
You're very
we can actually tell you that
you're very reachable.
They think somebody writes my replies my fans, posts my things.
You reply to all the comments yourself?
No, but I reach out to my fans.
Okay. Yes. Last one. Kenyan music or Nigerian music?
Kenyan music anytime.
Okay, thank you so much, Pastor Emmy Kosgei. It was such a nice time having you on board.
Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe as we wrap up, please leave our listener with just one thing, one word for them.
First, I like your smiles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You smile from the beginning to the end. You are very ambukiza. First, I want to thank Kenyans for coming out for the Azusa conference that we had at KICC. It was so overwhelming for me to see the love of the children of God that just came out. We were there for 3 days and it was incredible. We had volunteers that came out to serve from different churches. I want to say very big thank you. I mean, that event was transformational. We received your messages. You just came out. I want to say thank you on behalf of my husband.
Yeah.
And then the thing we were looking at was the revelation of Jesus.
Yeah.
And one thing we learned was we must bring Jesus back to our acts, to whatever things we are doing. Are you on radio? Are you a singer? Are you a pastor? Are you a businessman? How about bringing Jesus back to your business? Like, apart from your excellence, your how you know things, your degrees and everything, Jesus has to take the center stage of everything that we do. Another thing I really embraced was that Christ has done so much for us to start laboring. We live in a life that has introduced us to hard work, work to earn, push to receive. Maybe sometimes you feel like maybe I'm fighting with foundational things. I'm fighting with this. There's nothing fighting us. We need to embrace Jesus. And when we receive Christ, the Bible says we become a new creation and they're all dispersed. So to be able to live light in this 2025, embrace Christ, give your life to Jesus, believe in him, trust him, only believe. That's what the Bible says. And all things are possible to them that believe. So it is my desire that we all live a very light life, that we are not weighed down by our past, by what we are coming from, but embrace Christ so that we can move lightly and know that it is finished.
It is.
Hey, nice. And on that note, we end the interview. Thank you so much for coming here and continue keeping it here on the home of fresh and classic hits. This is the PearlTop20 Countdown with the Gas Master
and the Group Queen.
96.9 FM, Pearl Radio.